you will be recalling certain of the facts, because isomerism is known to you, right? In organic chemistry you have studied that, and you have also studied varieties of isomerism in organic compounds, and here it will be little twist because it will be with regard to coordination compounds. Basic idea about the isomerism remains the same, general definitions and all those things, okay? And here for your syllabus, whatever type of compounds that you have in your syllabus, the coordination compound, for them we will be discussing the isomerism. So in general, this is the general definition of isomerism. Someone asks you, all those molecular compounds, all the compounds, suppose there are A, B, C, D compound, and all of them have got the same molecular formula, but they have different structural arrangement of atoms or group of atoms. They are isomers of each other, right? We understand that, and this leads to completely different set of properties, be it physical and chemical. So broadly speaking, anyway, you can always classify the isomers into two categories. One is structural isomers or stereoisomers. What is structural isomerism? Structural isomerism is simple. You will definitely have the differences in the chemical bonding pattern itself, and how that chemical bonding organizes itself depending upon you may have varieties. In optical isomerism, it is difficult to make out, but in other isomerism where you have structural changes, you can very easily make out. So there is a linkage isomerism, all these names are there, we are going to discuss all of them. Coordination isomerism, ionization and solvate. We will pick up each one of them slowly. But before I move further, so there is a class of structural isomerism where you have clear distinction of one structure to another, okay, or the pattern of bonding is different. In stereoisomerism, the chemical bond remains the same, okay, you will have the same chemical bond, but the spatial arrangement might vary. Here you have again two categories, geometrical and optical. Geometrical like cis and trans kind of arrangement, and optical you will know the dextro and levo kind of arrangement. So we start with structural isomerism first. So here is first is linkage isomerism. This arises when you have one of the ligand, or let's say in general ambidentate ligand. Whenever you have ambidentate ligand participating in bonding with the metal in coordination sphere, so in this case you can see that there is a nitride group, and this nitride group can lead to structural linkage isomerism, because we have already studied the nitride or thiocyanate, for example, these kind of ligand, they can attach through different atoms to the metal. They can coordinate bond with the metal in different ways. It is just the bonding which I have shown here. Metal to the nitride is binding through oxygen, and even in the structure, when it molecular formula, when we write down, the best way to write it is like this, so that when we name it, we understand that how this nitride is bonded to cobalt here, okay. So you can see while in other example the other isomer of this with the same molecular formula but different arrangement of the bonding, you can see here in this nitrite, the nitrogen is binding to the metal. By the way, when I'm referring to not nitrogen dioxide, it is nitrite, NO2 minus ligand, okay. The sign is generally not written. So you can see that what leads to difference. This complex compound is red colored, this complex compound is yellow colored. You see, just because of different type of binding by the ambidentate ligand, which atom of it binds, that itself leads to completely different properties, okay. So this is an example of linkage isomerism, because it is differing in terms of linking of a single ligand, that's all, okay. All right, so it's very simple here. Second type of structural isomerism is called coordination isomerism. This isomerism is when you have a cation and anion, both entities of a complex compound, as the coordination sphere itself or coordination entity. Both of them are coordination entity, and you have two different metals, you can see here, and two different metal and two different ligand binding inside. So there is a possibility that if both the metals are they have the affinity for both the ligand, then through the exchange, then you can have another compound in which that this ligand is bonded to cobalt and this ligand is bonded to chromium in this particular example. So you get another molecule like this. This is a completely different compound than this compound. This is one compound, this is another compound. And you can note one thing very clearly here. In this case, this is a positive entity and this is a negative entity. Do you agree with this? Cobalt is 3 plus, here chromium is 3 minus. This is 3 plus and this is 3 minus. So this is the positive entity now. So chromium along with ammonia now forms 3 plus valency here, and cobalt with cyanide 6 minus forms 3 minus. This is one complex itself, and you can create another complex completely by it's considering that there is an interchange of ligand. Okay, so you have coordination isomerism, and they will lead to different property anyway. We understand that. You see that in all these linkage coordination, there is a complete change of chemical bonding. Okay, so they are all playing around with chemical bonding. Next is called ionization isomerism. The outside one, which we understand is simply a balancing act. Okay, here this counter ion Br minus and here is a plus. It's just like for balancing the whole thing. Okay, plus 1. Okay, so this is like simply for balancing. We understand this complex compound Br is simply a counter ion, not much of significance for this coordination entity. But you can create another compound with Br inside and sulfate outside, simply because Br also has an affinity to cobalt to form a coordination bond, more or less similar to that sulfate. Okay, so not in all complexes this kind of isomerism is possible, but in select it is there, where you have the counter ion that can also act as a ligand, only in different compound. Of course, I'm not saying in this compound this is acting as a ligand. No, in this compound this is a counter ion, but you can create a complex compound where what you had a counter ion in some complex now becomes like a ligand in another complex, and what was ligand can take place of counter ion. Here 2 minus and 2 minus, the charges are different. You can balance it. Okay, cobalt is 3 plus and this is 2 minus, it will lead to plus 1. Here is 3 plus, Br minus, 2 minus, 2 plus, sorry, 2 plus. Ammonia is 0 anyway, correct? So please see, this is a very simple isomerism where you can create different compounds, different type of compounds, simply by considering the replacement of counter ion with one of the ligands. Okay, so here is the example of this. Another isomerism is called solvate isomerism. Actually speaking, it has been put in a different category, but it's the same as ionization. But why it is put in different category? Because here solvent is involved. So solvate isomerism arises when solvent molecule is either directly bonded as a ligand to the metal, or in some other complex, means with the same molecular formula, it becomes the part as a, like, you know, the water of crystallization. Of course, you may have ligand still connected to the metal, but I am saying that water can also be the part of crystal structure. Please see in this particular example here, this H2O, although it is not a balancing, it is not a counter ion kind of species, but it's a part of like your crystal water of crystallization. So you can see that in one case water is just as a part of ligation or as a ligand, but in another case it also behaves as a part of water of crystallization. So here the exchange feel like similar to what I have discussed in ionization isomer, but in ionization isomer it is only the kind of exchange that we have discussed is between the ligand and the counter ion. In this case it is not a counter ion, here it is a water of crystallization, and here what you had outside here, one of the Cl has gone inside as a ligand. You can see that. Okay, because the coordination number is always fixed, right? For a given metal the coordination number will remain the same for a given valency. Here also chromium is 3 plus, here also chromium is 3 plus, so coordination number 6 is fixed. If it is 6 here, this should also be 6. So you have to, if you take one H2O outside, you have to bring one Cl inside. So that leads to different kind of complex compound. Okay, and water becomes like a water of crystallization. Okay, so this is like this is called as solvate isomerism or hydrate isomerism. If the solvent is water, then it is referred to as hydrate isomerism. Then let's move to the another type of isomerism, which is called stereoisomerism. And here you will not find the changes in the chemical bonding. Whatever number of chemical bonds you have, okay, they will remain the same, but the spatial arrangement will differ. So whenever we pick up any example, like in discussion of all these examples or all these categories of isomerism, I have only taken the examples of octahedral complexes. I've taken here, this one is octahedral, this one is octahedral. You see that? All the examples that I have picked up are only octahedral complexes. Because it is easier, the octahedral is like a one standard type of structure, and it has a certain symmetry about it and much more possibilities about isomerism and everything. So you will find that octahedral complex appears everywhere, here, everywhere, and in both these octahedral complex will appear. But in case of geometrical isomerism, you will find that the another coordination number or another type of complex that we are going to discuss for you are square planar complexes, where coordination number is 4. But then when we discuss optical isomerism, this coordination number 4 will not give optical isomerism, but then tetrahedral. But tetrahedral is not discussed anyway in your syllabus, so those examples are not there, so I will not be discussing. So octahedral will appear everywhere. So I am trying to create a certain picture so that you are clear, because what will happen is, now with the varieties of example and the way in which it is written down in book, you might tend to get lost. So don't worry, I'm just trying to create a certain map for you, so try to just follow that. Okay, stereoisomerism, as I said, these are the isomerism, geometrical and optical. In both the cases, the total number of bonds will remain the same. So please see, when I say geometrical isomerism, I have taken the example of right now starting with simple coordination number 4. And in your book, if you look at it, starts with square planar complexes. Okay, now even in square planar complexes, there are categories. Okay, so there is a category of the type of MX2 L2 type, where X and L, this is like more of an abbreviated generalized picture. L and X are like unidentate ligand. Then you will have a cis and trans kinds of isomerism. The famous example for this is diamine dichlorido platinum, and then valency of platinum here, oxidation number is 2, so platinum 2. It's called platine. Generally the common name is platine. So the two isomers are called cis and trans platine. Cis isomerism, you can see that the two chlorine which are bonded to platinum, they are facing each other like ammonia here, but in other case they are diagonal to each other. And also one more thing, you can see that all the bonds, they are generally referred to as by straight line, है ना? But actually speaking, coordination bonding is represented by arrow. Convention is that we represent arrow from the ligand to the metal. Okay, so these are square planar complexes. If you want to visualize this, you should always use a dotted line. The solid lines are reserved for bonding. So if I simply dot this one like this, you can see that it's a square planar complex. Similarly here also. So this is very simple. By the way, just to let you know, this cis isomer is used for cancer treatment in chemotherapy. This is used as drug for chemotherapy. Okay, and this is not useful. See the difference. I'm writing this specifically just to let you know it is how important is the isomerism. Just the spatial arrangements are different, and that leads to complete different property. Okay, so square planar complex MX2 L2, this is the best example to know it. There is another square planar type of complex, and that is where you have all the ligands different, A, B, X, L. All are unidentate ligand, for example. Okay, MABXL. So here is an example, although this is not given in your book. This can exhibit a different type of arrangement. For example, you can choose to call, I can first write down, instead of calling them as which one is trans, which one is cis. Let's say you have platinum, and of course this is also square planar. So I can choose to write, let's say, ClBr. Then I can write here NH3 and then pyridine. This is pyridine. Okay, pyridine is an organic molecule and it will act as a ligand. Now in another arrangement, I can have a square planar complex, and just because I took this as a reference, I am starting with this. Now here I would like to put bromine and chlorine on the same side. So naturally the other two ligand also turn up to be at the same side. If I put here NH3 and if I put here pyridine. Oh. And then another isomer, so if you want to call one of these as trans, because there is no distinction here, why should I call this as a trans and not this one? There is no reason for that, because यहाँ पे एक जैसे तो ligand है ही नहीं ना, all of them are different, so you can call any one of them as cis or trans. Now it is up to you. Okay, but then the another form that may also be possible is, if you consider, for example, just this one on this side, the Cl and Br, let's say I put Cl here and Br here and remaining others same. So this also, if I call this as, let's say, trans, for example, and if I call this as cis, this also is cis but of another type. Okay, a slight different in arrangement of bonding, cis 1, cis 2. Okay, you could have called this as cis 2. It is no, there is no fixed rule here. Please see, there is no fixed rule here. Okay, so all I am trying to say is, if you find one trans, there are correspondingly two cis. That's all it is. Okay, so this is a unique example, although it is not given in your book, but this form is mentioned. MABXL type of complex compound, square planar, and with the unidentate ligand. So remember, right now we have discussed two types of square planar complexes where you have all the ligands as unidentate. This is the simplest of complex. Then you have all the four different, and they are cis and trans. Then you have octahedral complexes, and in that also we begin with the simplest of example of MX2L4 type, where X and L are still unidentate. We are still discussing all the ligands as unidentate, each one forming just one bond. Okay, this is the example of this type, where you have 4 ligands of one type and 2 ligands of other type. Now the key lies in these two ligands, because how they face each other, depending upon that we are calling them as cis and trans. For example, cobalt ammonia chloro complex and chlorido complex, and here you can see that the chloro, suppose if you make the 4 ammonia as a part of one plane, in this case, for example, here this is like a one plane octahedral complex ka. Okay, suppose if I choose, this is our general convention where we make the plane as a part, as if it is sitting horizontally and bisecting this plane of the paper, and these two ligands above and below this plane of the paper. So here is an arrangement of ligand, same type of ligand, 2 only facing each other opposite or diagonal, opposite to each other, and diagonally opposite to each other. So this is like a trans isomerism. But you can have a situation where the two ligand face directly and the other chlorine becomes a part of the plane, for example here. Okay, in this particular case, now you can see that the two chlorine are facing each other directly. By the way, in octahedral complex, it's a very symmetric structure. Generally you are visualizing the plane of the horizontal plane, but you can always take other plane also, you know that, right? You remember sometime we discussed octahedral structure. For example, just to generalize, if I say M and there are 4 ligands of some type, and there are two other type, or let me right now just put here L only. I'm just writing an octahedral complex here. You see that all of them, they are same. Whatever you are calling as above and below the plane, it can be any of these bonds above and below, and you can imagine a plane bisecting the whole of the structure, right? So this is because of the symmetry of the structure. So I'm saying that if you take a complex compound, so don't get confused, okay? Everything is, you should be able to play around with these structures by yourself and try to convince yourself that that kind of symmetry exists. You can imagine a plane which may be passing through, a center of the octahedral geometry, and there could be above and below ligands in different angles. All right, so octahedral complex with this kind of geometry, cobalt, ammonia, chloride, chlorido, cis and trans isomerism. As I said, this is the way it is possible. Now onwards we are going to discuss a very unique pattern of structure which will involve the didentate ligand also. Okay, here is an example, but that's why I have drawn this one. So you should pick up and then convince yourself that these are the isomer, otherwise they will not be able to you won't be able to appreciate them. Fine. So here is an example of metal and one ligand is unidentate, and in the same complex compound here, this L4, where 4 ligands, they are independent molecules. Right now I am taking, instead of 2 ligand, for example, if these two ammonia, for example NH3 and NH3 are replaced by, let's say, ethylene diamine. Remember that ethylene diamine kind of ligand, where it can form a bond with the metal from its 2 nitrogen directly. Generally the notion is that instead of representing this entire molecule like this, the notion is this: it is represented or abbreviated as En, and then you can simply use this circle to represent the 2 sides of bonding like this. Okay, you can see that here. So in this case, if I just connect the dots to represent the plane here, square, and this one, the structural plane, and the ligands are forming like a closed loop with the metal. Okay, actually speaking, there is no need to show, it is like directly, it's like a whole thing, but just for the clarity of not losing out the structural dimensions from our visualization, they have kept it like this one, but you don't have to show it like this. Suppose if I had to show this one, the trans structure, I could have even shown like this: cobalt, just the unidentate ligand should be shown separately, but then the other ligands can be shown as En. I can show it like this. This is also allowed, it's fine. Okay, En, because it is understood it's a didentate ligand and it will organize itself along with the 2 other ligand in a octahedral geometry. Okay, so this is just the bonding. Okay, so here is an example of this, and although it is not shown here, the valency is generally represented, very important one, and it is represented with the entire thing in the bracket and then +1. In your book they have missed it here. It has got a valency of +1, so it should be shown, the valency must be shown. There is no structure in your syllabus which is, in fact, one EDTA can form a bond with 1 calcium, and that's you will see if you are interested, just give a search and then find out how it binds. Just a single ligand arranging itself in octahedral geometry around the metal. But anyway, so the coordination number 6, MX2 L4 type, and here you got these 2 structures in this arrangement. This is again a unique type of geometrical isomerism. This is coordination number 6, octahedral. Still we are discussing the octahedral complex, and here A and B are unidentate, but now A and B take a equal share on number. Here is the example of cobalt. This is 3 ammonia and 3 nitrite group, and again this is octahedral geometry. तो अभी देखो यहाँ पे भी जो है ये octahedral complex है, और ये सारे के सारे यूनिडेंटेड लाइगेंड हमने ले रखे हैं, और इसके अंदर आप देखो 3 लाइगेंड जो हैं ये एक दूसरे को कैसे फेस कर रहे हैं. तो एक के अंदर क्या किया हुआ है, यहाँ पे जो 3 लाइगेंड है उसको इस जो मिडिल प्लेन है, जो स्टैंडर्ड रेफरेंस लिया हुआ है, उसका हिस्सा बनाया हुआ है. ठीक है, और एक में क्या किया हुआ है कि जो नाइट्राइट ग्रुप है उसमें से 2 केवल उस प्लेन का हिस्सा है, और एक नाइट्रो जो है वो मतलब प्लेन से बाहर है. ठीक है, अच्छा, अभी आप जब इसका ऑक्टाहेड्रल स्ट्रक्चर जब इमेजिन करेंगे तो आपको क्या पता लगेगा कि इसके अंदर तो ये तो इस प्लेन का हिस्सा हो गया. ठीक है, ये वाला, तो ये जैसे ऑक्टाहेड्रल जो ज्योमेट्री है आपकी उसको मीडियन में काट रहा है, ऐसा लग रहा है। मतलब ये वाला जो हिस्सा हमने, मैं केवल नाइट्रो को राइट नाउ रेफरेंस लिया है, आप चाहें तो अमोनिया को रेफरेंस भी ले सकते हैं, अभी उसकी बाद में बात करूंगा, लेकिन पहले केवल नाइट्राइट को रेफरेंस अगर लिया है आपने, उसके रेफरेंस में बात कर रहे हैं। तो ये देखिए, ये थ्री नाइट्राइट, दे आर पार्ट ऑफ दिस प्लेन एंड दे आर सीम टू बी बाइसेक्टिंग दिस ऑक्टाहेड्रल स्ट्रक्चर, है ना। ऊपर 4 फेस हैं, नीचे 4 फेस हैं, तो ये क्या है, मेरिडियन टाइप का स्ट्रक्चर, मेरिडियन स्ट्रक्चर बना, मतलब ये अरेंजमेंट है, मेरिडियनल स्ट्रक्चर अरेंजमेंट कहलाती है। तो इसको हम जब आइसोमर लिखते हैं, इसका नाम, जो भी नाम होगा इस आइसोमर का नेम, IUPAC नेम, उसके आगे मर लगेगा, यहाँ पे मर। बट इफ these two are part of this plane but other is not the part of the plane, then they will connect as if they are part of one of the faces of octahedral। आपको पता है ना, ऑक्टाहेड्रल के अंदर 8 फेसेस होते हैं। जैसे अगर हमने ये ऑक्टाहेड्रल ज्योमेट्री मैंने यहाँ पे बनाया है, तो इसके ऊपर जो है 1 2 3 और ये 4 फेस ऊपर, 4 फेस नीचे, उसी तरह से होते हैं। तो अभी आप देखिए, इस तरह से एक फेस का हिस्सा बना हुआ है, डाउनवर्ड फेस इसमें बताया हुआ है, बट वो कुछ भी हो सकता है। तो ये जो है फेशियल अरेंजमेंट हो गई। तो ये 2 आइसोमर जो है इस तरह के एग्जाम्पल में आपको मिलते हैं, फेशियल अरेंजमेंट, मेरिडियनल अरेंजमेंट, ठीक है। तो ये आपको ध्यान रखना है, दीज आर नॉट सिस, दे आर नॉट कॉल्ड सिस एंड ट्रांस बिकॉज देयर नंबर्स आर 3 more than 2, that's why their arrangements are called face and cis, facial and meridional, okay। So the name of isomer precedes with these kind of symbols here, please keep it in mind. You can actually try out by yourself today. What you do is think about ammonia in this case and then try to imagine a plane across the ammonia and see, because you can always imagine a plane. Let's say if you connect this one, you can see that this is a plane. If you consider, then this and this nitro become above and below. So with respect to ammonia, this is still a meridional arrangement. You see that your octahedral complex is like this, where you have 4 faces here, 4 faces here. So in that case, this ammonia are part of the plane and this ammonia is above the plane, okay। So you can imagine in any way and it will lead to still the same arrangement, okay। You can identify 4 faces, so one of the face, so that's why it's called facial isomer. All right, then we need to discuss another type of stereoisomerism, which is called optical isomerism. In geometrical isomerism, you can still make out very subtle spatial differences of the bonds, right? It is very obvious that this isomer is different from this isomer just by looking at it, although the bonds are same, PTCl, but spatially they are organized differently, so it is very easy to make out. But in case of optical isomerism, to show it is little difficult even to make out that, but they are different. You only try to compare their mirror images. All right, we will see that. We have discussed this in your tetrahedral complexes, remember, in your organic chemistry we have discussed that, where you have carbon is a tetrahedral, and then suppose if that carbon carries, for example, let me show you again just to make sense of that better. You remember you have carbon, suppose this carbon is bonded to all the 4 groups which are different, let's say Cl, Br, I, methyl. Suppose these are all 4 groups which are different on this carbon. What will happen if you try to draw another mirror image of this dotted line is just to show a mirror arrangement. How will that mirror image will come out? I'm just trying to create a molecule which is like a mirror image of this, and the question is whether that mirror image is going to be different or same. That's the only question that we have to answer. So here you have iodine, here you have bromine, and here you got methyl. So this is a mirror image, like as if this molecule is seeing its face in the mirror or its image in the mirror. The thing is that it turns out this molecule is completely different from this, because this cannot be superimposed on this. If it was same, then it could have been by rotation be superimposed on it, okay. One of the physical property is rotation of plane polarized light. They rotate differently, remember. So optically they are different, and the way in which one molecule will rotate the plane of polarization, the other molecule will rotate opposite. That's why if we call one type of isomer as we represent differently. We call this, let's say, as dextro. If it rotates the plane of polarization to clockwise direction, then the other is referred to as levo. Remember? Or in short, sometimes they are simply call it as D isomer, L isomer. Or sometimes D is also represented by plus sign and L is represented by minus sign. Simply because one rotates in the clockwise direction, the plane of polarization, another rotates anti-clockwise. So what I mean by rotation of plane polarized light, suppose if this is the polarization of light I am representing, the electric vector, then this can rotate the plane of polarization with respect to this central line axis here. It can rotate the plane of polarization to clockwise direction to whatever angle. This is the angle, theta angle here. Okay, so this is a clockwise rotation. Then that isomer is referred to as dextro. This is your zero angle and this is the angle at which it has been rotated. And the other isomer will rotate exactly in the opposite direction by the same theta. So the plane of polarization of light will be rotated by same theta but in opposite direction. Okay, this is 0. So that's why the two isomers are different, because they are behaving differently or their optical properties are different. So mostly optical isomers, they differ only for the interaction of light. That's why we call them as optical isomers. Optical means they behave differently to light. Okay, otherwise chemically they might behave similarly. Physically little bit changes might be there in some physical property. For example, if you do crystallization, they might crystallize out differently and hence some properties might be different. Well, so there are a lot of similarity between this kind of isomerism, which is referred to as optical isomerism. So the only way to discriminate between the optical isomers is by looking at their optical properties. Remember, this has been discussed extensively, and always you are trying to find out simple way to say whether an optical isomer of that compound will exist or not. Try to create a mirror image of that, and if that mirror image is not same, which can be identified by rotating the molecule and then trying to see if this can be superimposed on that. If it does not superimpose, then that molecule is different. The two molecules are different isomers of each other. So let's see, in case of coordination compound, as I said, your syllabus, we will discuss only octahedral complex right now. So the first type of molecule that I am taking here, okay, by the way, you should know this again, this is a recall. Whenever you have a molecule which is showing optical isomerism, that is called as chiral molecule. You know this word, remember? Because anything which is optically active is referred to as chiral. So this term you should remember here also, because in coordination compound also you have chirality that exists or optical activity that exists. Optical activity is referred to as chirality. Okay, so you should not miss out these terms. They might be referred even in the question sometime. Optical isomers are chiral, or optical isomerism is also referred to as the isomerism with the chiral property. Okay, and the mirror images, they don't superimpose on each other. And there is another term which is referred to as to refer to this specific type of isomer, which is called as enantiomer. Okay, let's take the first example, which is octahedral complex, and you will find that in octahedral complex also, see, the simplest of the coordination compounds can be tetrahedral. This is not a complex compound, this is just the organic molecule that I have taken. But in tetrahedral complexes also, you will have the similar situation where your metal can be at the center. I will just write down one example, although it is not given in your book, just for your reference. There is a complex compound of tetrahedral geometry where you have the central atom as arsenic. Now this is a tetrahedral complex, optically active. Why it is optically active? Because all the four groups you can see that attached are different, so they will lead to optical activity. Example of octahedral complexes, and here also the spatial geometry restriction is necessary, because the example where you have all the different ligands, 6 ligands different, are very rare in octahedral complexes. Okay, so your syllabus takes the example which are simplest one. But then how do you create the optical isomerism where you have the similar type of ligands attached? where there is only one way where you can restrict the spatial arrangement by creating the structures which are more of closed type. So here is an extreme example where you have a metal and all the three ligands, they form the closed structure like ethylene diamine. Think about a molecule where you have a cobalt and suppose ammonia 6. This is one type of molecule where you have all the ligands independent, but this will not show optical activity because this molecule is highly symmetric. You rotate and you get the other molecule, mirror image of this. So this is not optically active, and so it will not show you optical isomerism. But if you restrict the geometry by creating the arrangement of closed loop, that will lead to the possibility of having a different mirror images. For example, if I try to just create a framework of just to make a structure more clear, think about this. This is like a central plane of your octahedron, and this is one bond above and below. This is above and below bond, above and below bond. Okay, and these bonds are in plane. Similarly here also, try to visualize this as a plane here, and this is above and below, and then others are part of the plane. So these En molecules are organized in a way that they are forming the closed loop. This is the only structure which is possible with three didentate ligand. This is the only way it can organize itself. Okay, you should practice writing down this structure, and you will find that this is the only way this kind of structure will organize, and that will be octahedral. This is the octahedral geometry. Okay, if you try to connect all the bonding pattern. So this now restricts a lot to the geometry, and if you rotate this molecule, first you create the mirror image of this, which is this one. You can see that this is a mirror image here, right? Looks like mirror image or not? You can see that all these things are simply mirror imaged here, everything. Okay, this one is mirror imaged here. So if you rotate this molecule, you will not get this molecule. That means there is an optical, these two are different. Even if you try to rotate them and try to see if they are superimposable, they are different. You cannot superimpose. The two are different. Okay, and they will rotate the plane of polarization opposite to each other. So if you call one of them as dextro, other is levo by default. So restriction of geometry by introducing the chelating ligands, you get optical activity, possibility of optical activity, and that is possible in octahedral. So this is one type of molecule that is discussed in your syllabus. Okay, another type of octahedral complex still taken is from what you have already discussed as geometrical isomer. Let me show you first that one, then I will come back to this. We have discussed this closed structure of octahedral complex where in the previous example, suppose if you have taken 4 ammonia and simply, no, I'm sorry, not this one. Yeah. If you replace the 4 ammonia by 2 ethylene diamine ligand just to create a closed structure. Here also you got the cis and trans type of isomerism. Okay, if you look at the chlorine's position here, that is cis, here is trans. Same is here, chlorine's position is cis and this is trans. And with respect to this, the closed structures are like this, these kind of arrangement you can see here. In one case they are facing directly each other, that's in the trans isomerism, but in cis isomerism the two ring structure are also facing directly each other. So this is a cis isomer and this is a trans isomer. Okay, we have seen that this complex compound where octahedral complex compound where you have replaced 4 of one type of ligand by 2 ring structures, okay, or 2 didentate ligand, you get cis and trans possibility. Now octahedral complex, now since there is a ring structure formation, should we not ask the question whether they will be independently also optically active? Can you have some particular complex compound showing one isomerism also showing the other type of isomerism? Here is an example. Okay, so this isomer you should also examine that whether independently they will also show optical activity. So suppose if you take this one first, just take this one first, try to create a mirror image of this. Now forget this cis one first, try to take this one trans, try to create a mirror image of this. The mirror image is same exactly as this one, because if you rotate you get the same molecule. So even though you have the closed structure, this molecule is not optically active. Do you agree with this? Because the mirror image of this will be exactly same as this. If you rotate this you get the same. But pick up the cis one and try to create a mirror image. The mirror image looks like this. You see this Cl here, you see that this looks like a mirror image of this, है ना? But then when you rotate this molecule, just think about only rotating one molecule by 90 degree, because by rotation 90 degree you can think of bringing this chlorine here, trying to bring a similarity. So this may come here, but then what about this one? This will come even in the horizontal plane, and here you don't have anything in the horizontal plane here. It is like connecting above and below bond. Okay, this is above and this one is below. So this is below, this is above. So even if you try to rotate this one to bring this chlorine here to try to find similarity, this other part of the structure does not become same. So this cis molecule, only cis isomer of this kind of molecule, okay, octahedral complex, this leads to a optical activity. Did you see this one? Trans will not show optical activity, because in trans I have shown here this trans isomer of this molecule. If you try to create a mirror image, by simple rotation of 90 degree you can bring the two molecules same, or 180 degree. You rotate this molecule by 180 degree, the mirror image will be same as this one, because this part will come here, this part will come here, and it's the same molecule. So this will not show optical activity, this will show optical activity. So here is an example we are picking. It can show both geometrical isomerism and as well as optical isomerism.